Good morning, everyone. Meteorologist Lauren Rautenkranz here. We have the very latest advisory from the National Hurricane Center from Idalia and also Franklin. Okay, we have a Category 4 hurricane in the Atlantic. We also have a strong tropical storm in the Caribbean moving toward the western tip of Cuba and eventually into the Gulf of Mexico. Now we're starting off your 11 o'clock hour with this latest update, and we'll get to First Coast Living in just a moment, but let's go ahead and dive into what we're dealing with here in the tropics. So currently with the 11 a.m. advisory, we don't actually have a change in intensity with Idalia. Well, what we see is a surge in this thunderstorm activity around the center. You don't even see that clear center of circulation as of yet, so still getting its act together, and it will take some time, but there's plenty of fuel out there. And as this system pulls up to the north into the southern Gulf of Mexico, we're going to watch wind shear decrease. We're also going to see lots of warm sea surface temperatures and plenty of fuel to fire up this storm's intensity. So that will come. As of now, we're really focusing on those impacts here at home and when we can expect them. So the latest cone and track, remember the 11 a.m. advisory from the Hurricane Center is the complete update. It has the updates to the track and also the intensity. And so what we're seeing here is consistency in the models. If anything, and you're focusing on that center of the track where you expect the center to go, it will continue to wobble back and forth, right? That's why we have the cone of uncertainty. There is definitely going to be some wiggle in that with update to update, but the intensity right now, still just like we saw at the 5 a.m., expecting a major hurricane in the Gulf of Mexico sometime Tuesday and into Wednesday as the system rapidly intensifies from a tropical storm today, possibly to a hurricane as we head into the next day. And I would say we could even have a hurricane as early as today, but right now, again, that forecast showing it by tomorrow morning if you're waking back up, joining us, to Hurricane Idalia, and then throughout the day on Tuesday, it going from a Cat 1 to a Cat 2, and then, of course, eventually to a Cat 3 as it's making landfall around sunrise somewhere between Apalachee Bay and Cedar Key here in Florida, so the Big Bend of Florida. Now, obviously, a major hurricane making landfall just on the other side of our state, that will mean some big impacts for us as far as the wind goes, and also the rain. We're expecting some pretty heavy rain going to be moving into the area from time to time as early as pre-dawn on Wednesday. So for now, folks, we're getting those preps in place. We are taking everything we've practiced and talked about for months during hurricane season when things were quiet. Now we have to act on that. So again, that's the latest cone, but I would expect Wednesday to be our stormiest day. Okay, so you can see in this track here, Wednesday 8 a.m., we already should have our preps done and completed really by Tuesday night, sunset time frame before we all go to bed. We're expecting Cat 1 conditions as far inland as Lake City, possibly even some stronger gusts up to Cat 2 depending on the strength and the position of this storm. So that would be out toward the I-75 corridor. That quiets down the farther east you go, and we'll break it down county by county in just a bit. Things we're talking about here, though, are power outages and the potential for isolated tornadoes. Of course, when we come to gusty winds as well, we could be dealing with some bridge closures here in the metro. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Just know it's a possibility. But right now, again, just watching that potential with the sustained winds of 40 miles an hour, we're going to definitely have some stronger gusts. And these numbers that you're going to see on these county by county maps are those wind gusts potentials. So Columbia, Baker, Bradford, Union, you are included in that hurricane watch as of now, and so we can expect those 75+ mile per hour winds because that would be hurricane strength or greater. Roof damage, large branches could be snapped off of trees. You'll see the highest rainfall totals as well near that core of the storm. Duval County, I would say by sunrise we're starting to watch the heaviest rain bands begin to affect our area. Gusts of 65+, power outages and isolated tornadoes as well. 3 to 5 inches will be our rainfall range. If we go up toward Glenn, Camden and Nassau counties, we'll have gusts up to 65 or greater. And then tidal flooding will be something we'll be monitoring. So times of high tide starting Tuesday night through, I'd say, Wednesday, when we'll see the coastal flooding potential. Storm surge also will be something with the orientation of the coast out that way, 2 to 4 foot. So if you're flood prone and you live in a low-lying area, you've seen flooding before, you'll want to make sure you're paying especially close and you take the preps that you need to do to protect your home, your family, your pets, the property. Make sure everything is going to be safe with that amount of water coming up. Now, gusts up to 70 out toward Ware, Charlton, Brantley, Pierce. Isolated tornadoes are really going to be a thing that we're talking about for the entire area, just because most of us are going to be on that dirty side or the right side of the storm. So even in places like St. John's and Flagler, while you'll be the farthest away from that core or that center of the storm, we'll still see some intense rain bands probably blowing toward the coast, and they could have some rotation in them. So 1.5 to 3 inches of rainfall out towards St. John's and Flagler. Clay and Putnam, gusts up to 70 as well. Power outages 2 to 4 inches of rain. We have high confidence in this track forecast, and like I said, even if it wobbles ever so slightly, it of course will change the forecast maybe ever so slightly, but we've got to talk about a big shift to see these impacts change drastically. At this point, we're starting to really hone in on what we're going to be seeing across the area. Now, we mentioned hurricane watches for Columbia, Baker, Union, and Bradford with the 11 a.m. advisory. As expected, we have now tropical storm watches, which extend all the way to the coast. That's Glenn County down through Flagler, also including Duval, Clay, and Putnam. Areas now inland in southeast Georgia, you're also under a hurricane watch. So if you're in the lighter, the hot pink color, you can expect those gusts up to hurricane force, whereas we'll expect those gusts more along the lines of tropical storm force in the areas in yellow here. So that's new as of the 11 a.m. advisory. Heavy rainfall potential mainly for folks out to the west. I would say this will thankfully be a fast mover, still dropping a good amount of rain in a short amount of time, but the big story is really going to be the wind as we head into the next several days. We'll be trying to figure out who's going to see the strongest wind and when. Remember those advisory schedules, okay? So we just got our full complete schedule at 11 a.m. that came out with new watches, new warnings, the storm details, the intensity of the track, and the location of that storm. Our next one's going to be at 2. Then the next complete advisory is at 5. Then the next complete advisory after that is 11. So the 5s and 11s are the big ones. But guess what? On that First Coast News app, on air, online, on First Coast News Plus, we're going to have all of these updates for you. So you can go ahead and make sure you're staying tuned with all of the different advisories and updates that might be coming in. So we're going to continue to watch this, and hurricane hunters are actually currently investigating this storm as we speak. But right now, at least Idalia is a couple days out for us. That's why we have those watches in place. So places like the Big Bend, they're within that 24 to 36 hour time frame. So they're now in the hurricane warning, whereas for us, we're in the 36 to 48 hour time frame. I think for now we're going to pass it on back to First Coast Living, get you on with your regular programming. Again, Tropical Storm Idalia moving into the southeast Gulf of Mexico. We'll keep watching it, and forecast updates going to continue to come in here for you as well.